Guys, we are almost done with this entire remodel, and we are so excited to show you the final result. We want to give you guys a house tour so bad, but we're almost there. So we want to show you the process of what it's been like so far, all the things that we've done, but also share some of the things that we wish we would have done or knew. Now that we've done this, I feel like we got a lot more wisdom and knowledge about how to approach this.
As you guys know, we've been super busy with all of the little projects. So we didn't realize what we were getting ourselves into with living in a house that we were remodeling, but of course our apartment lease came to an end, so we had really no choice. And with a family of 5, it's kind of hard to stay at someone else's house temporarily while things are getting done. So we've kind of just adjusted our lives to work around this, and it's been a lot harder than we thought. But the hardest part of it all is not having a kitchen sink, I would say.
That is rough.
That's been the hardest because we have 2 bathrooms and there's like a double sink in the master bathroom. So I thought, okay, I'll use one just for dishes. But the faucet is just so short, you can't really fit anything under it to wash it. So it's been a huge challenge. So I'm like really looking forward to having a kitchen again. But I do think that the longer we've had to wait, the more we're going to appreciate when we do have those things again. Like I'm really not gonna take anything that we've done for granted ever, because we get so used to just the norm. It's a kitchen, it's a house, but when you haven't had it for so long and you've had to work around those little normal things, you'll really like savor every moment when you have it again. So looking forward to it.
And speaking of managing everything on my own, our sponsor for this video is Skillshare. What I realized when basically overseeing every single renovation that was happening in our home is that I needed to have a handle over my schedule. I've always loved time management, and this session by Ben Rowlands has been perfect. Everything from time blocking to creating a daily priority list has really helped me in this season of what feels like thousands of things happening all at once. So I hope it helps you too. And the first 1,000 of our subscribers to click the link in the description or use our code, TheArmstead will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare today.
So let's share with them what we've done so far. So we moved in October, early October. It is now March. Yeah, so it's been like 5 months. And
that's hard to believe,
it
honestly.
feels like we've lived here for longer, right?
No, I feel like we've been here for like 2 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still, I feel like it hasn't hit me yet.
Well, for me, it's like, I don't know, like I'm like, we've only been here 5 months. I guess because we have so much going on, I feel like, wow, we've done so much in so little time that it feels like we've been here longer. So for me, I feel like we're coming on to a year. Well, we haven't even made it to like half a year. So that's that. The first huge thing we did was buy the playground, which we've shared. That was the first big investment in this house, actually, which was one of the best ones because the kids can play outside. So that's for outside.
Painted a lot.
Okay, painting has been the most challenging thing so far because the house, obviously the kids.
With the walls have to, so when you go to paint a house, you're like, let me just do it all in one shot. Like you're not gonna do one thing, jump to the next. We knew that we wanted to paint as soon as we got in the house, but so many things have happened while we've been painting. So we knew that we wanted to knock all these walls. You can't see them because they're gone, but all these walls we knocked down.
Yeah.
And we'll share more about that, but we knocked the walls down, and there's so many parts of those walls that you want to paint, but you can't because when the drywall is taken out, when you knock down those walls, you still got to get the drywall patched up and everything.
Yeah,
so
we've had to work around a lot. But also we have 3 kids, and when we've had paint out, we've had kids, you know, they're running around and we can only keep them secluded in one spot for so long. Even outside, like we live in Florida, it's very hot. We can't just force them to be outside for 5 hours. It doesn't work that way. So we're having to paint, stop. And it's pretty difficult. And then sometimes mentally we just can't get into it. It's like, should we get an hour of painting in, but then the prep to do the painting, like even grabbing the stuff from the garage and like making everything around the paint safe, situating the kids. Then, you know, you have to store the paintbrushes away for the next time, which they're in our fridge, which they take up so much space. So painting has been a huge challenge. And could we have hired painters? Yes, but we didn't because it's just like the it's outrageous the amount.
Well, they wouldn't have come back and they wouldn't have said like, hey, go ahead and paint some of the house and then we'll come back 3 or 4 months later with
because we started painting when we first moved in, but then we've had so much work done. Like, you'll see when we do the tour, but there would have been a wall like blocking, separating like the kitchen from this room. The layout was just very strange. We knocked down 3 walls, right? So the first one by the fridge, that one, and then by the door. Yeah, so we knocked 3 walls down.
14-foot walls.
Yeah.
Big walls.
So that's been fun. So the painting has been difficult. We're actually still not done because just like last week or the week before, we finished up the drywall because we had like 10 inspections. Altogether, we probably had like 10 inspections, right?
We did this all the legal and
Yes.
right way. So we got permits for all the things that we did. A lot of these contractors and even people that we know, like, dude, why did you do permits?
Or permits, I mean.
We've never owned a house, so we're like, let's do this the right way. I don't want any issues. And then also, if you do resell your house.
Yeah. Wait, I need to say something about that. Okay. So a lot of people told us we didn't need a permit for our playground. Keep in mind, we don't live in an HOA, but everyone lives in a village, and in our particular village, you need a permit for your playground. And someone told me that. I looked it up. It was true. Some people were saying, oh, ask for forgiveness, not permission. And I'm like, no, I'm not that type of person. If I know something has to be done, like legally, the right way, whatever, I'm going to do it that way. So the funniest thing is that we applied for the permit. We got approved. We put the playground up. You weren't even done putting it up.
No.
And the person from the town came with the
Code
violation.
Yeah.
And she was like, you need a permit for that. It was so fresh in the system, the permit that we applied for, that she didn't even see it on her end. But it was funny because I took a picture of it. She said, oh, disregard it, because she apologized. But it's just funny that had I listened to everyone saying, oh, no one's gonna know, then we would have had to pay a violation. So those types of things, I'm like, I don't know. It's also like an integrity thing. Like, if I know that I'm supposed to do it one way, I have to do it that way. I won't sleep at night.
Exactly. If she knows that there's a chance that she could
get in trouble
caught or something, she won't.
I know.
It's not even worth saving the extra money. Like,
maybe it's the people pleasing too. I don't want people to be mad at me.
Well, in permit fees for the playground and for everything that we've done in this house so far, it's been about $500, which is not terrible, but
it's not terrible.
Still $500.
I mean, it's kind of annoying, but with the work that we've done with so we had a structural engineer come out and tell us which walls we could knock down. Then we've had everyone that we've used has been licensed and insured, and we've had everything inspected, from moving the plumbing to moving the electrical to what else did we do? So knocking down the walls to the framing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we've literally had about 10 inspections. Everything has passed the first time because we hired people who do pretty good work, except one person. And another story for another day. But so I feel good about the work that we're doing in our house, because I know that not only are these people licensed and insured, but also it passed inspection. And if something were to happen, we know it wasn't because the work was done wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just where we're at. I think the only thing I would change is one of the contractors that we've used does good work, but sloppy work. So I know that sounds kind of like they know what they're doing, but they make a mess. They don't clean up after themselves. They don't finish their work. So this particular person did a certain job where concrete was touched, and instead of filling the concrete himself, he said, oh, you need to get a concrete guy. He made holes in the wall. Oh, just have the guy patch the wall or whatever. So lesson learned, he was highly recommended, but I wish we would have done more research on
That's the first thing.
Particular person.
Because I said that we were going to share some things that we wish we knew. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Research your contractors. So don't just go based on recommendation. There's been so many people that have been recommended to me that I've called, ghosted me. They've been people that I've called and just shown up and giving us shady quotes. Even people that don't have any reviews on anything. If they're just somebody who, you got to call, if it's a big job, something that's serious, for instance, electrical work, do not just go based on that. You want them to have a company website or a company review. And if you can't get real feedback from somebody who's used them, just
So we got Every other person that we've used has been, you know, amazing. You can look them up, 5 stars. The plumber was so amazing.
Amazing.
Like, I never thought that I would be so amazed at a plumber's job.
Yes.
Like,
he's amazing.
I just can't believe it. And
every time I call him too, I've called him at, I called him at 6 o'clock at night thinking I'll get a call back tomorrow morning. He called me back in like 15 minutes, like, hey, sorry, I was, you know, knocking something out. What's going on? Like,
I know.
He's been there every single time I've needed him, and he's sent someone in fast. He does good work at a fair price. Like, it's like,
yeah, the plumber, I'm like,
golly.
I know.
Never complained, never made me feel like I was bothering him. That's a big thing. I absolutely hate when I'm paying you money to make me feel like I'm bothering you.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
That's true. This plumber's really good. Honestly, when everything is done, we have to do like a dedicated post or something with these people's contact information because
Absolutely.
The plumber was amazing. We also dealt with one company where they were super amazing until we signed the contract and we paid. And then from there, anytime we asked them a question, it was like they were annoyed and they... I told him, I was like, this person just doesn't want to talk to me.
Oh, God.
And then he was just like, oh, like, I don't know, you know, he didn't think it was a big deal. But one time I called on speakerphone and this person was rude. Yeah. And he finally heard it for himself. And
so after that, I took over.
Yeah, I said, I'm not calling this person anymore. Yeah. You deal with it because my blood pressure, I can't handle it. So yeah, definitely. I wish, I mean, it's unfortunate that happens sometimes. Like, they're super good for the sale, and then afterwards, they kind of don't want to deal with you. Oh, the biggest thing. Oh my gosh. So we have to talk about the biggest project we've done so far, other than knocking down the walls. We got new floors.
Yes.
We got the most beautiful, beautiful floors that I've ever seen. And everyone who sees the colors, like, we picked a perfect one.
It is the perfect color because we really were torn between, do we go with like a really, really wood looking, you know, vinyl plank, or do we go with something light? So we don't want to go something too light that it doesn't look like wood. We also didn't want to go too dark. We wanted the lighting to still look good in the house, to still be bright and, you know, open. Yeah. So it was a tough choice. And when we went to get this floor, we went to, you know, research flooring guys. We went to this flooring company, and the first floor that she laid her eyes on was this floor. She's like, I love that floor.
Was this in October or November?
This was in probably November, early November, but they did not have it in stock. They said it's out of stock, could be 6 months, and we're like, dang. Yeah. So we had the sales guy, he came and he brought different ones that were kind of similar, but they weren't really that same wood. Yeah. And we put it down, we're like, I mean, I guess this one would look nice. And so by the time we got to signing the contract, we waited a few months because we had to get some other stuff done. And he said, you know, it still might not come in until like January. And then it didn't come in January. It came in like beginning of March almost. Yeah. So they were great. That has nothing to do with them. It's just, you know, you guys know what's happening around the world. You can't get supplies.
The shortages, yeah. So with the flooring, he brought us a bunch of samples, and he also brought the sample that we loved so we can compare it. I did some crazy like test. You could see it on my Instagram under the highlight home, where I throw like crumbs. Like, I was throwing dirt, I was throwing like goldfish, all that stuff. I wanted to see which floors really hid the dirt, and these were the best. But of course, like we said, they were out of stock and they didn't know when they were going to come in. So we're like, okay, well, we'll keep that as our number one choice if they get it in before we start the whole like project. The only thing that really, the hardest part of this whole project was that we had to get the tiles ripped out, and we had to do that because when the structural engineer came, he looked at, there was like hairline cracks along the floor in every area of the house. So like in all 4 corners, basically.
Which was our biggest concern when we came to look at the house.
Yeah, that was the hardest part because we got the tiles ripped out and there was a lot of dust, and we lived with the dust for a week. Yeah. And everything was okay. I tried to keep the kids, because there's carpet in the rooms. So we slept in the rooms with the carpets. I had the air purifier going. Like, thankfully we have an air doctor, because when the air quality was bad, it would turn red, and I would like really like make us, you know, go outside or get away from the area. I was very scared about the dust.
Well, let's be real with them, because this was like a big issue. So for this part, what we'll share, like what we wish we would have known. If you're gonna do anything with dust, so knocking down walls, knocking down things that have a lot of dust, ripping up floors because there's an insane amount of dust.
Yeah.
Either save up for a hotel leading up to it,
Yeah.
so that you can stay in there for a few days or so, or have a family member lined up. Make sure you have that lined up, because I don't like that we were in here with this much dust. I kind of like, looking back, I was like, okay, I probably should have, figured something out, because I thought it was okay. You don't see it sometimes, but the air doctor was turning red a lot, and these kids were running around. This is all we were breathing in. Thankfully, like she said, in the hallway and also in our room, there was carpets. So they blocked off those areas and did that first. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we had to live in this dust for almost a week. And she felt like her chest was like full of dust all the time.
I felt really nervous. Like I told him, I said, I feel like I'm choking on the air. I was nervous the whole time. Like I wouldn't let the kids, because like, the common area where the tile was ripped up, we still had to walk across it to get to certain parts of the house. So I would get really nervous. There was no way around it, but I didn't let anyone just be in this central area. It was really hard because I started to wonder. For the first few days, I was like, okay, like this, we're okay, like everything's fine. And then after like day 5, I started to think really hard about it. And I'm like, this has to be dangerous. Like this is a lot of dust. So then I actually had a panic attack. It was really bad. It was the worst I've ever had. I just was so scared that I harmed my kids by being in this type of dust. And then I Googled it, and it was bad. Like it talks about like this type of dust is microscopic and it gets into your lungs, like tile dust, concrete dust. Basically it can cause irreversible damage. So it was a lot. I got really nervous, and then as a mom I felt like I failed them, and I was like crying that night. I couldn't breathe. I was so scared. And I told him, I was like, I think we made a big mistake by being here. So anyway, that was tough. And then side note, one of my uncles actually he passed away, and he used to do flooring, and it was years of him breathing in this type of dust and how do you say that word? Asbestos. So he was breathing those types of things in.
Yeah,
for
and
years.
all that's in drywall, old drywall. Thankfully, our drywall, this house was built in 2003.
Yeah, but for some reason, when we were getting the floors ripped out and stuff, it didn't cross my mind that it could be dangerous. And I think it's just because we had so many other things going on, and we were sleeping in the carpeted room. But regardless, it was going into for a couple of days after that panic attack, we actually stayed at my mom's house while they were finishing up doing the floors, because I was really afraid. It was bad. I ended up taking the kids to the doctor so that she could listen to their lungs, and I just needed like some peace of mind. And then we ended up all getting sick with like a cold. Worst timing, because of course I thought it was related. I still think it might be, I don't know. This was about like almost 2 weeks ago, and I just feel like I'm starting to like come down from like that worry. So yeah, if you've dealt with like renovations and stuff and you guys are all okay, let me know. Leave me a comment. If you have a scary story, don't tell me, because I don't want to panic anymore. But anyway, I don't want this to be like super negative, but this is like the reality of what we're going through. It's been a tough season. Like honestly, if we ever moved again and we bought a house that needs work, we will not be living in it. Yeah. We will stay, I don't know, an Airbnb or with a family member.
We'll just budget it. Like we'll say, hey, how much does it cost for us to live in general for, I don't know, 4 months, 5 months? And even if that means I have to work on it with someone else or hire people or manage it. That's one thing I learned. I didn't know that I could manage, all the projects like a general contractor could. And we were kind of forced in a situation where we needed to stay on track. So I just went ahead and did all the permits myself and all that. I would do it again by myself, but I definitely think it's much easier when you're not living with 3 kids, having to manage lifestyle. It was just, like she said earlier about the painting, it's hard to get anything done when you only have like small pockets, small windows. Is it doable? Small projects, yeah. Yeah. But big projects, not really.
No. Yeah. And thinking about it now, like health-wise,
Yeah.
all the dust, like
Health, physical health,
I'm starting to get
mental health,
PTSD thinking about
emotional
the dust.
health. This has been a lot. I mean, it's been a great season. Like, we're happy we have this house. This is probably the best decision we've ever made as a family. But this is our first time. Looking back, we do it differently. A little bit. Some of it.
I'm feeling worried again. Literally.
We're good. We're good. And like we mentioned, so she's tearing up. We're good.
I got like PTSD a little bit.
So we mentioned the air doctor. I would 100% get it. That's a big recommendation. We have a discount code you could use. Like, it's a significant discount.
Yeah.
So if you can afford it, pick it up. It'll give you peace of mind. It'll let you know.
So we have the Air Doctor 3000, which can filter up to over 1,000 square feet. And after this whole experience, we have not turned that Air Doctor off in weeks. Well, we haven't turned it off since we got it, really. But with everything going on, I had it on high, and I felt like it was constantly on high. So we ended up just getting an Air Doctor 5000, which can filter up to 2,000 square feet, which
really
is
nice.
It's
rolls.
Amazing.
I was like, this
is like
nice.
A high-tech air purifier, but it's
perfect.
really nice, and it filters, a better amount of square footage for our home. And it's good for open spaces and high ceilings, which is exactly what we have. Open layout, high ceilings. So now we're gonna have that in the common area, it's over here in this corner. You can't see it. And then we're gonna put the smaller one in our room.
Another thing that I feel like I've learned a lot during this entire process with the big project is you have in mind how long you think it's gonna take. And for us, we thought, okay, tops, it'll take us like a month and a half, 2 months. I would say, no matter what, if you're ordering cabinets or you're getting countertops or if you're ripping out floor or doing all this stuff, if it's not something that's easy DIY stuff, add a minimum 3 to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, we've had things pushed back the whole time.
Yeah.
To the point that now I think we're about at least 2 months beyond what we said would be the finished date.
So the first thing we tried to do was permits. We had a contractor working on it. There was just a lot of back and forth, but ultimately we ended up just pulling the permits ourselves, and it took 1 day. But we had been waiting for the permits for about 2 months, right?
Yeah, it's just it can be a lot. You know, contractors have a lot going on. So.
Right. So the contractor had to oversee the whole project. So we had to get the plumber to submit, the electrician to submit. So it was a lot. And then after that, he could submit the whole thing together. It was just like a whole lot of, it was hard. But anyway, so we ended up getting the permit. After we submitted everything, we got it in 24 hours. And then from there, I think everything just went like so fast, because we got one of our friends we didn't even know was a contractor, and he helped us put the playground together. And he was like, yeah, I can knock those walls down. When I tell you these guys work hard, they work so hard. The walls were knocked down, I mean, in 6 hours.
Yeah, I love him.
3 walls.
I love him.
I mean, and then I was like, you guys want something to eat? Because these are friends, So I'm like, you guys want something to eat? And I'm like, he was like, no. They came with, I think both of them just had like a sugary coffee, and they just went to work.
Treat your contractor friends well.
Yes.
Treat them well, because, and not in a, what is it? Like an ingenuine way, like genuinely treat them well because you care about them. But like, if you treat them well, they will help you when you need help.
Yeah.
I never knew that you actually need like a little Rolodex one day of people that you can like reach out to for house stuff.
Right. So after our friend put our playground together, we hired him to do the walls. And I'm telling you, it was just such a great experience. Like, I really don't know anyone who works as hard as
I got to help him too, because one of the things I told him, I was like, I really want to know how to do a lot of this stuff myself. Not that I'm going to get into contracting, but I think it's a good experience for me to see what behind the wall looks like and how does drywall go back up. So he let me be a part of it while also doing the project. So I got to go to the waste dump and the landfill and put all the pieces of drywall that we broke down, all the side rails, everything. And we found a lot of crazy stuff behind the walls. I'll show you. We found a cup, a soda, styrofoam cup with soda in it that had to have been in there since the house was built in 2003.
Crazy.
So that means that it's 20-year-old soda.
Did you look inside of the cup?
No, it was just black. So I was like, I'm not gonna mess with that. And this was already after we found out that we had mold in the other wall, and she's like, "Don't even tell me that you found this."
Yeah.
Yeah, there's things behind the walls that whoever built your home might have just left there while they're working. We found a water bottle under the AC unit.
Yeah.
So
these guys are working hard, just throwing their stuff. So after we got the walls down, then what came after that? Then it was like moving the plumbing, moving the electrical, because the wall we knocked down was the electrical to the previous owners like island that they had. So it was coming from the ceiling. So they had to run it down the ceiling, into the wall, down under the floor. So they had to rip up the concrete and move it because we're doing an island with no wall. So that was insane. And then once that was done, so those things happened pretty fast, but then we had inspections and stuff.
you have to do inspections. You have to leave things open. And that was kind of a hurdle for us because we had to have open concrete with electrical wires. Thankfully, they were shut off. Yeah. Open concrete for the plumbing that literally went into the dirt. Into the dirt was open. You could see under the house. And thankfully, it wasn't long, but the kids were here still. And we had to don't go there, don't go there, don't go there, go there.
Our son, our sons still found a way to
jumping over stuff.
Well, he threw food into the hole.
Yeah, he's like,
oh my gosh,
threw a little piece of granola bar. But we got a tarp, we covered a lot of that stuff. So that was one of the biggest pieces of the project was, like she said, getting the walls down, getting the electrical and the plumbing moved.
Yeah.
Now that that's done, we had holes in the walls where like I said, the walls were attached to. That's drywall attached to other drywall. And so we couldn't close everything up until the inspections were in. Once the inspection were in, then we had the drywall put back up so it could look seamless. It looks like, once we show you guys the full house, you're gonna be like, it looks nice. But it seems like that's how the house is supposed to look.
Yeah.
And if you look at how it was before, you're like, all these extra walls. You guys know us. We don't need a lot of things.
We don't need extra.
So we didn't need all the extra cabinets that she had. She had built a wall in the middle of this house just to have extra cabinets.
For the cabinets. That's true.
We're not like that. We're gonna have a big island. Right? You can't see, but over here is where the kitchen's gonna be, and the cabinets will be on those walls, and we're good. And it's gonna look really nice. Another thing that I will say is speak up while the contractors are here. There's been so many times that I didn't want to hurt feelings, specifically with the contract that we're talking about before. We were thrown off by some of the stuff that he did, and it wasn't until after they left that we were like, that was not good, or we need to call them and tell them to fix that. Just do it while they're there.
Yeah.
And it's better to have that confrontation early so that you're not waiting till the project's almost done and there's nothing they can do about it. Plus, it'll give you enough time to fire them if you need to fire them. If you are waiting too long and they have to finish their work, most people don't want to come behind bad work and fix it up. And that's been the case when we ask somebody else can you fix this, and you should have them fix that, and I don't want to touch that. Yeah. So just do it. It's uncomfortable, but just do it. Now that I know, I'll just only work with people that I can be straight up with and, call it a day.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things with this whole remodel is to not settle. So originally, when we were planning our kitchen remodel, we wanted a quote for just a nice kitchen.
You're going to call me out?
Yeah. And then the kitchen of his dreams, because we have similar tastes, but he specifically wanted a couple of things in this kitchen. And so we wanted a quote for both. And ultimately, we went with what he really wanted, which obviously I wanted too. I was okay with either. But we're so glad we did, because it cost a little bit more. And when I say a little bit, a couple thousand more. Yeah. But it was worth doing that and being totally content and not thinking about upgrades in the next couple of years.
I don't like what ifs.
Yeah.
And
for an example, right? Just this is a really small example in the kitchen. He wanted a really big sink, right? He wanted the biggest sink he could find.
Yeah, we'll show them.
I was like, okay, because some people get a 28-inch sink, 30 is common, and then 33 is
that's a big sink.
That's stretching it, right? You're taking up a lot of cabinet space. This guy right here wanted a 36-inch sink.
I did.
We got a 36-inch sink.
And
we
it
made
is
it
beautiful.
work. It is really beautiful. And the mom in me is thinking, wow, I could probably fit all 3 kids in this thing at once. Mm-hmm. Right?
You probably can.
Big. But so that's like one thing where like that particular sink was not that much more money than the smaller sinks.
Yeah. And believe it or not, during the day, the clutter issue, like I believe, yes, clean the dishes once they're there. But there are times where you're going to be busy, and it's nice to have a sink that's big enough to fit what's there, so it doesn't look like the countertops are full of dirty bottles and dirty pans and whatever. So I don't know.
It's going to hide a lot of dishes.
That's what I was thinking. Like, how can we make this, part of our clutter-free lifestyle?
Yeah.
And that is like, and I say that unashamedly. That
you don't have to be ashamed. It's a preference, and it's beautiful.
I'm not. I really do. And I do like I don't like doing stuff in a tight spot. Like when I'm cleaning stuff, even in our old apartment, like cleaning the dishes in a really tight sink, tight area, it didn't feel good. Having a big sink, I feel like we could just move faster, move quicker, move, cleaner.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So we're excited. So I would say like don't settle, and then
the double stack.
Oh yeah. So this was another thing. When we were picking our countertops, we knew we wanted to go with quartz, right? And first thing is they showed us regular quartz versus double stack quartz. So the double stack is a thicker quartz, but it looks so beautiful.
I like it.
So we went with that. I said, let's just do regular. And he was like, it's so pretty. And it was. I was just trying to keep things simple, budget wise. And he really, really liked it. And honestly, it wasn't that crazy of a difference. Then also, I always had my mind set on like the subway tiles because I feel like that's what everyone does and it looks okay. But then we were like, okay, well, what is the quote if we just did the quartz up the wall since we're going to have extra quartz? It was
it's actually cheaper than subway tiles.
It was because it was just basically paying for fabrication because we already had the stone because we need 2 stones for the size of the island. That's going to take 1 whole stone and then the countertops another. So anyway, I would say don't settle because now that we look at it, there's nothing that we wish we would have got instead.
No.
Maybe the cafe appliances.
One day.
We fell in love with these appliances that were the brand Cafe.
Yeah.
They're like white and gold. They're so beautiful. But they are like 3 times the price of like the appliances that are, like you normally have. Yeah. So we ended up going with, black stainless steel appliances that we love. They're here now. We're ready for the kitchen.
It looks really good. It looks really good.
Yeah.
Either way,
So go all out, but also stick to your budget.
Yeah, and so we saved for this. Yeah. Like we saved money. And anyone who says, well, that's not minimalism, well, I don't care what you say. Like I'm happy with the way that we did things. Mm-hmm. I'm happy that we saved for it. I'm happy that we lived the way that we lived.
The size of your home and stuff doesn't determine.
No, it really doesn't. And it really doesn't. It's truly about your mindset, the way that you approach your lifestyle. And even to this moment, like we still make decisions on things that we need and we think minimally. Mm-hmm. Like how can we make sure that this doesn't like clutter up our home and everything? So I'm happy with it. And I would 100% say, if you are renovating your home or you're doing something for you, don't think about what other people are going to think. Don't settle. Get what you want. Make sure it stays within, your moral compass, what you feel is right, and move on with it. Be happy. That's what we're doing, even in so many different areas of our life. We're doing what's right for us, our family, our kids. What kind of life do we want?
Yeah.
Like, it's not about what other people think about our lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So I really hope that you do the same thing too. Yeah. Even in your minimalism journey, if you're not a minimalist and you're watching this, cool, like, no shame.
Also you have to think about like where you are in life. A couple years ago, I was talking about living in an RV.
Yeah.
That was what I wanted. I wanted to live in a tiny home, maybe on some land, maybe just at an RV park. I just wanted the least amount of stuff possible. But then when the world shut down and we were forced to just be home all the time, and we lived in an apartment, so there wasn't space for the kids to run outside
bigger
or
than
anything.
RV.
Yeah, so the apartment was bigger than the RV.
Yeah, it didn't work.
But it was so tight, and just being home all the time, it felt like there was nowhere for me to go that there wasn't already someone there. I couldn't be away from him or the kids or anything. And I'm saying that like realistically, I feel like everyone needs that space to just be alone, even if you're a mom, you're a dad, whatever. Like you still need that time apart. And so it's funny that it took about 6 months into the pandemic for me to be like, my dream is no longer to live this tiny home lifestyle. I want a big home with lots of space. I want a backyard for the kids to play.
But that's also part of the don't settle thing, because we said that when we were talking about the RV life is that, well, we can't afford to buy a house right now.
Yeah.
What if we just buy an RV
An
home?
RV, and
I'm glad we waited,
yeah.
because that would have been like an impulse decision,
Yeah.
and we would have regretted it because we
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have been able to sell it back for the right amount.
Right.
And now we saved a little bit more. We waited for the right time, and the time was lined up.
Yeah.
Even when we look at this house and our realtor, we talk to our realtor all the time where he's like, dude, I don't know how we got this house at that price that you got it at.
Yeah.
He's
There's
like,
nothing
I don't know
in this,
how you did this.
There's nothing in this
There's
neighborhood
nothing available
for even within, the closest I've seen is maybe $75,000 more.
Yeah.
At the lowest.
And you probably know a little bit about the housing market when it comes to Florida. Florida is extremely
It's crazy.
expensive. Like it's
Yeah.
getting close to like maybe even LA, but maybe not, but still. And even with the house that we wanted at the beginning in our video, we shared about the home that we wanted to buy, which we just found out. I say we just dodged the bullet in general. We won't get into the details because we can't share.
And so like another thing with the house, it's like my life, everyone's life has changed in the last couple of years so much, but it really has changed for me in the sense that like I have always been someone who's introverted, loner. Like I don't really recharge with being around people. And now I feel like because I was so isolated from people, like I really didn't see my family for 2 years. In the beginning of everything, I was pregnant and it was like, you don't know what's gonna happen. You know, I didn't want to get sick when I was pregnant. And then with a newborn, I'm always kind of like mama bear with a newborn, even with the other two. So I really stayed away from everyone. And then it's just now that I'm starting to actually get back into the routine of life and stuff. I kind of got used to just being alone, but now when I'm around my family, that's what is filling me up. Like I'm happy to be around people. Like I've never been someone who wanted to host, and now I'm like, I want to be the house that hosts friends and family. Like life is so short, and
we change.
We
really do change
so much. And so for me, it's like I want that house where everyone comes and feels comfortable. The big playground outside is for my kids and your kids and, you know, friends and stuff like that. Like I want that type of lifestyle. So for us, it's like we're building this home, but it's not even just for us.
Yeah.
And
I'm happy with it. And even, you know, we talked about minimalism. We talked about how things change. Even in minimalism, if we have this channel up for like 20 more years or 30 years, you're going to see us change in some way, whether that is the way that our home looks or whether that is if we buy more or less things, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. Like I just feel like people are constantly changing. I was telling her that I saw TikTok and it said, you marry 3 different people in your life and it's still the same person. And we laughed at it because it's true. Like I've changed a lot since we've been married. She's changed a lot since we've been married. Our kids have changed a lot since we've had them.
Yeah.
Everything has changed. Our relationship with our families are constantly changing. So it's just like, this is life.
Yeah, but the minimalists, the two.
Yeah.
So if you look at the first documentary,
they changed.
I feel like they were the radical minimalists who live out of backpacks, who all they have is like a phone, a laptop, black shirts, and just enough to fit. Then if you look at the second one, which I believe is called Less is More or Less is Now, something like that. Less is Now. You look at it, things have changed. One of them had a baby, I think got married. Their lives have changed. So now it's no longer, what can I fit in this backpack? It's, what do I need for my life without having excess stuff? So it's like that. Everyone's constantly evolving. One thing for sure is we're never, ever going to have like a bunch of stuff or clutter.
No.
It definitely looks different because it's funny. When I used to show like how many plates and stuff that we had, people were like, oh, but don't you host people? And I was like, no, we don't. Like 4 plates was enough for us. 4 mugs was enough for us. And people just didn't understand. And I'm just like, it's just, this is our life. But now, you know, because we were living in an apartment, we never hosted. But now that we live in a house, I'm going to need, unless I want to use paper plates all the time, which I don't, we're going to need some extra plates and, you know, stuff for people who are coming over. So Heartburn.
Okay.
So we're gonna need extra plates and stuff like that for the people who are coming over. All right, we're done.
All right, we love you guys. We'll see you soon. We're gonna be sharing a house tour very soon, so stay tuned. See ya.
Bye.